Well, good afternoon. I am excited to be here with you all on today because I've got some excellent content that I'm going to be sharing. For those of you that don't know, my name is Njeh Smith, and this is episode number 3 of my video log series, my brand new video log series that I started this month, April 2020. Okay. And as I stated in previous episodes, once a week I'm going to be posting informative content, trending topics, as well as current events around the aerospace, defense, and medical technology sectors. Okay, that's why you ought to subscribe to my channel. Please hit the subscribe button on your screen and stay tuned because I'm going to be posting invaluable content once a week around the aerospace, defense, and medical technology sectors. Okay? Let me tell you a little bit about my background. I am a prospective alumnus of the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth College. Okay, I'm currently enrolled in their advanced management program for senior executives. Prior to Dartmouth, I feel fortunate to have had the opportunity to be the holder of 2 master's degrees. One of my masters is in business administration, and the second master's degree is a Master of Science in mechanical engineering. Okay, I feel very fortunate to have had the opportunity to ascertain such higher levels of education. In terms of my professional experience, I have over 12 years professional experience in leadership across industry-leading aerospace, defense, and medical technology firms, including Raytheon Technologies, the Boeing Company, as well as Medtronic. Okay, and currently I am the chairman of the executive board of Tsidkenu Group LLC, which is a global startup company with global headquarters here in downtown Dallas, Texas. Okay, the management consulting practice of my company, Tsidkenu Group LLC, allows me to help Fortune 500 firms realize multi-million-dollar cost savings, cost reduction in their operating costs. Okay, and so I mentor and coach the senior and middle management teams of these organizations by walking them through execution of enterprise-wide cost reduction strategies. Okay, and so myself and my teams are able to come into an enterprise environment and drive measurable bottom line growth through extensive cost reduction project execution. I also provide aerospace, defense, and medical technology industry-specific subject matter expertise, as well as operational excellence, function-specific subject matter expertise to the Big 4 management consulting firms, as well as to Fortune 1000 through Fortune 10 organizations. Okay, but I'm very excited about today's topic. So the topic today is around medical device manufacturing. What does it take to bring a new medical device to the market and to continue manufacturing legacy medical devices? Okay, so I think the first thing that's imperative is for me to give you a definition of what a medical device is. Okay, so the layman's definition of a medical device. So medical devices are devices that help healthcare providers diagnose and treat patients, as well as improve the quality of life of these patients. Okay, that is the layman's definition. Now, some of you all in my audience may not know, but there are 3 classes of medical devices. You have class 1 medical devices, you have class 2 medical devices, and you have class 3 medical devices. And I'm going to be sharing the differentiating factors of these various classes. Okay, so class 1 medical devices have minimal contact with patients and low impact on the patient's overall health. Okay, These devices are the most common class of devices that are regulated by North America's Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. And as a matter of fact, Class 1 devices constitute about 47% of all approved devices currently on the market. Some examples of Class 1 medical devices include things like oxygen masks, bandages, as well as hospital beds, okay? Those are a couple of examples of Class 1 devices. Class 2 medical devices present a little bit of a higher category of risk to patients because they are more likely to come into sustained contact with the patients. An example of a Class 2 medical devices, actually several examples are things like contact lenses, catheters, syringes, ventilators, as well as blood transfusion kits, okay? So those are some examples of Class 2 medical devices. Along the lines of Class 3, a Class 3 medical device is a product which usually supports life and is typically implanted into the patient, okay? It's important to note that just 10% of devices regulated by the FDA fall into the Class 3 designation, okay? Very important to take note of that. Some examples of Class 3 medical devices are things like breast implants, pacemakers, heart valves, as well as implantable prosthetics, okay? So what is the end-to-end process map look like in terms of bringing a medical device to the global market, okay? So I'm going to provide you some of the key milestones and some of the key process steps along the process map for a new medical device product launch, okay? So that process typically begins at the value proposition approval phase. Every manufacturer of a medical device has to obtain project approval from their senior management teams. So that's step one, okay? The next phase is the design phase, where you look at the design that you're trying to bring to the market, make sure that it's sound and robust. The next phase after that is supplier selection and evaluation to understand your pool of suppliers and which ones are most capable to provide you the level of quality as well as the volume you need, as well as meeting your delivery schedules, okay? So after that, you'll have your prototype development phase, right? You have to actually make prototypes that you can hold and feel and touch and conduct some tests with your prototype. After that, you have component qualification. After component qualification, you move on to clinical trials. And then after your clinical trials, you begin to talk about FDA 510K submission if you're trying to bring your device to the North American market. Or you may be dealing with the EU MDR if you're trying to bring your product to the market, to the European market. Or you may be dealing with the CMDR if you're attempting to bring your product to the Canadian market. Last but not the least, you may be dealing with the AMDD if you are attempting to bring a new product to the Asia Pacific market. So after this phase, you'll have market launch will be your next step. And then last but not the least, you'll have your post-market surveillance activities, okay? So that is the end-to-end process map for bringing a new product to the market, okay? Let's talk about how the medical device market is segmented. So I'm going to share 3 segments of the market with you. The first segment is device type. The market is segmented by device type, okay? By device type, I'm referring to whether or not the device is an orthopedic device, if it is a cardiovascular device, a diagnostic device, an IVD device, a MIS device, a wound care device, diabetes care device, ophthalmic device, dental device, or a nephrology device, okay? So that is the market, that is the device type segmentation, okay? The next segmentation is the end user segmentation. In other words, who is going to be the end user of the devices you're bringing to the market, okay? And by end users, I'm referring to hospitals, I'm referring to clinics, as well as ambulatory surgical centers, okay? Those will be key examples of your end user segment. The market is also segmented into geography, right? So in other words, are you attempting to release a new product into North America, into Asia Pacific, into the EMEA region, or into Latin America, okay? So geography is also a segment of the market. Okay, I'd like to tell you a little bit about who are some of the key players in the medical device space. You may have heard some of these organization names, particularly in the times of COVID-19 here. Some of these players have already been playing major parts in bringing solution to the COVID-19 crisis. So the first key player is Medtronic. Their world headquarters is located in Ireland. They were founded in 1949, and they serve patients in over 140 countries. Some of their core business units include cardiac rhythm disease management business unit, the spinal and biologics business unit, the cardiovascular business unit, the neuromodulation business unit, the diabetes business unit, as well as the surgical technologies business unit, okay? The next key player is Abbott Labs. I believe President Trump has threw their names out there as being key players in the fight against the COVID-19 crisis. So Abbott's world headquarters is located in Illinois. They were founded in 1900. They have footprint in over 150 countries, and their products are in the diagnostics, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, as well as nutritional segments, okay? I also want to share with you Stryker. Is also a key player. Their world headquarters is located in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Their products include medical implants, surgical and imaging technologies, patient handling technologies, as well as emergency medical equipment, okay? And finally, many of you may know about Johnson & Johnson. Their world headquarters is located in New Jersey. They are the second largest medical device company in the world. Their core businesses include consumer, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, okay? And it's important to note that their medical devices support general surgery, sports medicine, wound closure, minimally invasive surgeries, diabetes, among other therapies, okay? Let me share with you some of the industry competitive levers, as well as some of the risks that are encountered in the med device manufacturing industry, okay? From a competitive positioning lever standpoint, a lot of the key players that I just mentioned are taking advantage of new patents, as well as new intellectual properties to improve ease of use, as well as to improve patient outcomes, okay? So that's a key competitive positioning lever. Another competitive advantage that these companies are undertaking are large distribution networks. So they're really buttoning down on their distribution network strategies. They are undertaking scaled footprint of distribution networks across the globe to be able to provide their customers in all of those regions across the globe product on time, as well as volume of product that their end users need. So having a very diverse and wide-ranging distribution network is paramount. Last but not the least, another competitive positioning lever is organic and inorganic growth. Okay, by organic growth, I mean these companies coming up with brand new product lines, brand new types of medical devices, innovative new devices on an annual basis. And then in terms of inorganic growth, a lot of these firms are engaging in mergers and acquisitions or joint ventures as well as partnerships, okay, to reinforce their positioning and strengthen their brand within the industry. Some of the risks within the medical device manufacturing sectors. One risk that needs to be bore in mind at this time is a number of countries have instituted price ceilings on certain medical procedures, okay, which could deflate the payment rates of hospitals and physicians, and then subsequently force down the price of medical devices. Okay, so that's one risk that device manufacturers have to be particularly aware of. Another risk is in lieu of whether or not hospitals and physicians consider certain devices to be medically reasonable or necessary for operations, which presents a hurdle that device manufacturers must overcome in bringing new devices to the market. Okay. Another risk is the changing customer needs due to the volume of new diagnoses every year. So with all of the new diseases being diagnosed every year, this is requiring a much wider pool of newer technologies to meet the needs of patients. Okay, so the needs are constantly changing, and new device manufacturers have to ensure that they remain ahead of the curve of the changing needs of end users. Okay. Last but not the least, a risk that I want to share is the strict government regulations on things like medical device design, medical device clinical testing, as well as medical device market clearance. Okay, so those are some of the risks involved in the industry. Let me tell you about the market outlook and trends. And I'm going to address market outlook and trends under 6 domains, okay? Being the domain of demographics, the domain of healthcare spending, the domain of third-party reimbursements, the domain of emerging markets, the domain of additive manufacturing, as well as the domain of inorganic growth, okay? So let's talk about demographics. The aging population, driven by declining fertility rates and increasing life expectancy, represents a major demand driver for medical devices. Okay, the elderly population, referring to individuals 65 and older, made up 15% of the U.S. population back in 2016. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, it is estimated that the elderly will represent some 23% of the U.S. population by the year 2060. Okay, the elderly also account for nearly 1/3 of healthcare spending in North America. According to the United Nations projections, the global elderly population will rise from 8% of world population in 2015 to just under 20% of world population in the year 2060. So this suggests a strong demand for medical devices over this forecast period. Okay, let's talk about the domain of healthcare spending. U.S. healthcare expenditure is expected to experience a compounded average growth rate of about 5.5% between the years 2017 and 2027. Okay, growing from approximately $2.5 trillion to just over $6 trillion, with Medicare spending accounting for majority of healthcare expenditure. Along the third-party reimbursement domain, The primary customers of medical device companies are physicians, hospitals, and clinics who select the appropriate equipment for their patients. So that is a very important uh, dynamic to remember as a medical device manufacturer. Okay, let's look at the emerging markets domain. Emerging economies are claiming a growing share of global medical device consumption owing to relative economic prosperity, growing medical awareness, and increasing aging populations. Okay? Uh, According to the World Bank, all global regions, with the exception of sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, have seen an increase in healthcare spending as a percentage of total output over the last 2 decades. Okay? Additionally, global medical devices sales are estimated to increase from approximately 6.4% annually in 2016 to about 10% in 2020, this year, reaching nearly $440 billion, according to the International Trade Administration. Okay? While the Americas are projected to remain the world's largest medical device market, it's important to understand and note that the Asia Pacific and Western Europe regions are expected to expand at a quicker pace over the next several years. Okay, so those might be some markets that new device manufacturers may want to understand and target a little bit more strategically. Okay, let's talk about additive manufacturing. The expanding role of additive manufacturing is receiving a whole lot of visibility. Okay. As a matter of fact, the Food and Drug Administration recently issued a first of its kind guidance for 3D printing of medical devices. So that is a new trend that is being experienced and taken advantage of by some device manufacturers. And there seems to be a lot of potential along the 3D manufacturing domain for medical devices. Okay, in terms of inorganic growth, companies merging, combining complementary skills in order to secure greater market shares has been one of the major trends in the medtech sector. Okay, over the last decade. One key example of this is Medtronic's acquisition of Covidien in early 2015. Okay. Finally, I want to talk to you about the impact of a recession or a depression on the medical device manufacturing market. In other words, what's going to happen to the med device manufacturing market if we find ourselves encountering another recession or depression? I believe that growth is going to be slow but not stemmed. And my justification for this is twofold. Okay, even in a recession, you're going to need to conduct replacement of end of useful life product that are currently on the market, and there's also going to be some very low new sales. Okay, so even in a recession and a depression, unfortunately, there's still going to be the sick and the infirm and people needing various types of medical attention, which is going to trigger the need for new innovative types of medical devices, even in a recession and a depression. And so there will be some very low new sales to take advantage of. Okay, with that being said, I believe that the recession or depression market revenues curve will either be flat or see a slight trend downward. Okay, that is what I would expect if we were to encounter another recession or depression. With that, I want to thank you all for watching today's episode. And if you haven't already done so, I encourage you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button on your screen and subscribe to this channel. As I stated early on in the conversation, once a week I will be posting informative content with you around trending topics, current events, and competitive dynamics across the medtech, aerospace, and defense sectors. Okay. Also, visit my company, Tsidkenu Group LLC's website. The link is posted in the verbiage below, in the description field below. Our number is 800-357-7002. Go ahead and give us a call and engage with us. Or you can email us using the email address info@tsidkenugroup.com. We'd like to tell you more about how we can help your organization reduce its operating costs by millions of dollars. Okay, we also offer coaching services along the domains of product and corporate quality, as well as supply chain and manufacturing optimization, new product development, speed to market, as well as aerospace, defense, and medical technology industry specific coaching. Okay, we work with Fortune 1000 through Fortune 10 organizations, and most of our consulting executives are Ivy League educated, and we have over 50 years combined experience across industry leading diverse companies. Okay, I will hope to see you in next week's episode. In the meantime, I look forward to hearing from you. And please stay safe, stay well, and be productive. Take care.